The Grammy Award-winning Catalyst Quartet was founded by the internationally acclaimed Sphinx organization in 2010. Over this last decade, they have not only performed all over the world, but have created unique musical projects that redefine and reimagine the classical music experience. Having seen them personally perform in person, they certainly capture the imaginations of audiences wherever they perform. The Catalyst Quartet consists of Carla Donahue Perez on the violin, Abby Fayette on the violin, Paul Laraya on the viola, and Carlos Rodriguez on the cello. So welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, yeah. So the program that you have recorded for the library actually consists of two different projects that you've created. The first half comes from the Uncovered Recording Project, and then the last piece comes from the Immigration Music of Change, which is a collaboration that you've done with Imani Winds. Can you tell us about the Uncovered Project and its scope? It is such an amazing achievement.
Thank you, Kazim. It's great to be here with everyone. In 2018, the Catalyst Quartet thought that it would be gratifying and very important to record and more widely perform the music of historically important Black composers. Now, at that time, we thought it would be a single album, and luckily the name Uncovered was yet to be more imagined, because now it's turned into basically 4 volumes. And most recently, the release of volume 2, which, if you're thinking in CD length, is 2 CDs. And that's the music of Florence Price, her complete catalog for the string quartet and piano quintet.
Oh wow, and so was the second volume, was that just recently released?
Last Friday, February 4th.
Last Friday, February 4th. Well, I'll encourage all of our listeners to try to find your album. It should be available on Apple iTunes and Spotify and all the major
all streaming platforms. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, no, yeah, like, and I think after the people see the performance of we get like like on the program that you've recorded for us, you do have one work of Florence Price, but you also have some works by Samuel Coleridge Taylor and Samuel Coleridge Taylor Perkinson, or Coleridge Taylor Perkinson. And what is so amazing for me is that your approach to these pieces is so full-throated and so musical, and one thinks, oh, how could I have gone so long without ever having heard these pieces before? Did you all kind of have a similar experience when you first started to rehearse, or when you first discovered these pieces? I imagine they were also somewhat new for you as a quartet.
Yeah, so we actually gained a lot of inspiration from teaching over the summer at the Sphinx Performance Academy. We have a lot of incredible colleagues that were year after year bringing in maybe one of these pieces at a time, and doing them the beautiful justice and sort of bringing new light. And we would tell ourselves every single summer, like, why exactly the same thing? Why haven't I heard this? So I think it was a combined effort too, because not only were we inspired by hearing excellent performances, but by doing our own dive into each of these composers' language, we were able to start digging out more and more. And as you said, like full-throated, we like to think that we wanted to do as much justice as we could to bringing out every single little nuance of musicality and sort of intentionality in the music, and not just because for far too often people used to perform those works on kind of segregated, just all together at one point, but we wanted to bring it out and to bring it into the regular canon.
Yeah,
and it was also a daunting project in the sense that the music is not, the physical music is not available, and so the digging for scores and the digging for manuscripts, and even just figuring out how many quartets did Samuel Coleridge Taylor write. How many, are there any other composers we don't know about? And so it was daunting in that regard as well.
Great. Now so you just reached you just released the second volume. What does the first volume consist of your what is the first recording of this particular series? What is actually on the recording?
On that recording, that features all the string quartet applicable works of Samuel Coleridge Taylor. So that's his 5 fantasy pieces for string quartet, his clarinet quintet, which we collaborated with Anthony McGill, and then his piano quintet, which we were joined by Stuart Goodyear.
Okay, great. And so, and then there's going to be 2 other volumes. And are you allowed to sort of share with us what will be on those next 2 CDs, or does that have to remain a secret?
I just want to. It's not a secret because you're going to hear some of them in this performance for Library of Congress. Carla can speak more to the rest of it.
So luckily, we have already started planning for Volume 3. And we're expecting to release Volume 3 next year, just like we have every year in February. And that will be the string quartets by George Walker, Coleridge Taylor Ferguson, and William Grant Still.
Okay, great. I mean, yeah, to me that's just so exciting because I'm always, I guess, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about the Catalyst Quartet is that you uncover these masterpieces that was never heard before. Like I remember years ago when you all recorded the Glenn Gould String Quartet, and I had no idea that Glenn Gould had written the string quartet, and just to sort of get to hear your sort of deep and profound interpretation of that quartet was just really quite moving. So yeah, really kudos to you guys for uncovering lesser known quartets and bringing them to the public, just because I think so often we hear the same thing, like Death of a Maiden and the Beethoven quartets, and while those quartets are of course great masterpieces, it's important to sort of enhance the repertoire, and I just think it's just really so fantastic what you guys are doing. So would you mind to tell us a little bit about how your recording project with Imani Winds came about? How did the idea to have your former member how did it come about to have your former member Jessie Montgomery write this piece for the project, or was that already something in progress, or was this a specific thing? How did how did that all come about, this particular collaboration with Imani Winds?
Well, all of us and separately have known members of the Imani Winds. I mean, I've known Torian since I was 17 years old, so only a few years actually when I think about it. But we've all known each other and are great friends for many years. And of course, our former violinist Jessie Montgomery knew them as well. And the Imani Winds have long been great commissioners of work. And when they were reaching yet another one of their milestone anniversaries, they wanted to commission a work like they did for the Roberto Sierra piece for their 10th anniversary, another wonderful piece. So they reached out to Jessie, and Jessie had a large idea about making her great-great-grandfather's life story into a sort of soundscape scene of multiple movements. And so through the collaboration of the 2 ensembles and Jessie's work, we put this whole program together, and it's become I'm Migration, I Am Migration. We are all migration. We're all part of this journey together, and it speaks to Jessie's piece in particular, speaks to the travels and experiences of her grandfather. And he was a Buffalo Soldier. He worked in Panama. He traveled all over our country and was of great service to our country in times when maybe it wasn't that appreciated, but very important nonetheless. And so it's a wonderful work. And so is the Roberto Sierra piece and the other pieces that we play on that program, which are also of Florence Price and their own Valerie Coleman arrangement of Afro Blue.
Right. Yeah, that was the first concert that we presented in the fall. Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that extra information about the work. Another, uh, yeah, one thing that is a long tradition at the Library of Congress is we have a long tradition of commissioning composers that goes almost 100 years of commissions from the world's great composers. And I saw that recently, or I heard that recently, that you have another project called Catalyst Quartet Minute. And it's a commissioning project of 10 miniature string quartets. And that you did this for the 10th anniversary. So you guys are making sort of your own new canon and your sort of own tradition of commissioning. Would you mind to give our listeners a little bit of insights about that project and how it turned out?
I won't speak about the project, but I will speak about Library of Congress's deep, long tradition of commissioning works, because our very first piece that we played in our debut was commissioned by the Library of Congress, and that's Gina Starr's Second String Quartet. And so every time that we play that piece and I open my music, I see Library of Congress right on top.
Oh, okay, that's good.
A great connection there. But who wants to talk about CQ Minute?
So CQ Minute is a really fun project that we came up with for our 10th anniversary. We had for a while been really sort of obsessed or like interested in the social media impact for music listening and sort of the attention span of people in general on social media. And we felt that we really wanted to address this in an interesting and unique way. So if you look at the analytics on YouTube, for example, or at least this is when we created the project, before we had things like TikTok, the attention span was like people would watch like no more than 1 minute and 20 seconds. And so we decided we wanted to create a number of pieces that could all exist under one umbrella, but then also be their own individual statements. And so that's kind of how CQ Minute came about. Now, our 10th anniversary was in 2020, and we all know what happened. And so we've had to, for a number of reasons, delay the project this season, but luckily it's still happening. And the first part of the project is commissioning 9 established composers from diverse backgrounds. And I hopefully will be able to get through the whole list. So we have Jesse Montgomery, Evan Putz, Joan Tower, Billy Childs, Paquito de Rivera, Kishi Bashi, Andy Akiho, and Caroline Shaw, and
Angelica Negron.
And the second part of it is a competition where we wanted to foster and help support an up and coming young person. We cannot announce yet who has won that competition. We do have actually 2 winners, especially meaningful since we are no longer in our 10th season. We are actually in our 11th. So it makes a lot more sense to have 11. And so that's our project. And eventually they will be created, turned into social media little films, something else we can't really announce yet. But it's coming, it's happening, and it's all very, very exciting.
Wow, what an exciting project. I mean, just that sounds like such an exciting project to have so many different composers of different nationalities and ages. I think this is so fantastic. And I can't wait to hear the end result. I really am looking forward to hearing it. Now, so look, as we're sort of getting close to the end of our interview, I just wanted to, you guys as a quartet have sort of traveled all over the world, and one thing that struck me that was particularly interesting is that you had a residency in Havana, Cuba back in 2019, and since I would love to sort of hear what that residency was like, and because as far as I know, there are not so many American ensembles that get to spend large amounts of time in Cuba. So I'm curious, like what that experience was like and what you took from it.
Well, it's very meaningful for us and for me in particular. I am Cuban American. I grew up in Miami, Florida, and in a Cuban exiled family that left just around the revolution, before the revolution. And we were actually the first American professional string quartet to play and visit the island since the revolution. So that was 60 years at that time. And it was phenomenal. It was an incredible experience because it wasn't just a visit to like my homeland and an incredible place for the other members of the quartet, but also the exchange, the musical exchange, the cultural exchange that we had with the students and musicians there. The talent level is astronomical, and yet without access to any kind of media or even bow repairs or instruments or good strings or anything, they are playing at just the highest level. It was really like remarkable. It was astounding, actually. And also playing with them, hearing their music. We did master classes with them. We presented a recital, and we actually met an incredible composer, Jorge Amado, and we decided that it would be pretty incredible to have a piece by him because he is, I mean, a star composer, and it was really incredible to meet him and to hear his music. We actually heard his music backstage. We had met him. He's a violinist. Isn't that nice and cool? But then we were backstage waiting to play our concert, and the Havana String Quartet was playing a piece by his, and it was amazing. And so he actually wrote us a cello quintet, which has yet to be premiered. We were supposed to be giving its world premiere in Havana in pandemic times, so that has been postponed, but we hope to do that and workshop it with him. And it was an amazing experience, and we have deep ties to all of the people and students that we met there, and we are in touch almost, at least I am, and I'm sure you all are, in touch daily on social media and things like that. And we can't wait to go back.
Great. Well, once again, yeah, it just, well, I know you're already in your 11th year, but I congratulate you all on making it 10 years. And I wish you a further decades of great music making and traveling and commissioning in the future. And I hope to be able to witness that as we move on in the 20s, the roaring 20s. Yeah, the roaring 20s reimagined. Anyway, it's great to see all of you. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me, and I look forward to seeing your next performance, and hopefully our audiences can see you live at the Library of Congress in the not too distant future. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Kazim.
Thank you.